Work and Crafts, and welcome to my craft space. Here is a video on how you can make your own split letter monogramming using the Scan&Cut. I've had a few messages asking if I would do a video on this, and also mainly when people send me messages asking about the split letter monogramming, they ask if they need to use Canvas Workspace to do this. Now, I don't personally use Canvas Workspace to make my split letter monogramming. Obviously you can go on there and create a font if you want to, but I just want to show you how you can use the stored fonts and basic shapes that appear on the Scan&Cut to create your own split letter monogramming. Now, before I tell you what you will need for this project, I just let you know that if you want to be reminded or notified when I put a new video up, just hit subscribe and ring the bell. So for this project, I will be using a box frame, 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters, and this particular one was from Hobbycraft. I also will be using black card from Lynda Chapman and purple card from Docrafts. And I also will be using the adhesive Pinflair bookbinding glue, which is a great glue and really gives you a little bit of time if you need to sort of line up those letters. That's a great glue for most projects. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera around and just show you how you can create your own split letter monogramming. Okay, so first of all, you want to bring on the main letter for your split monogram. I am using font A002, which does appear on all the Scan&Cuts. And we're going to add that. And what we want to do is we want to resize this. Now, as I said to you, these are the measurements to fit in the frame that I have. If you do have a larger or smaller frame, you will need to adjust those measurements slightly. Okay, so there we go. That's the size we're going to go with. It's 102 millimeters by 114 millimeters. We're going to say okay. And next what we want to do is bring on the full name. So we're going to go back and select the same font. And I'm going to type my name. Like that. You want to bring it all on together so that those letters are all working together. And again, we're going to resize that. So this will be, actually, I think we're okay. No, that's the right size. 31 millimeters by 123 is the best to fit into that frame. Obviously, if you've got a longer name, it will be slightly smaller letters, but you really want to bring them all on together and do those measurements. Then we're going to bring on a rectangle in our basic shapes. And again, these appear in all of the CM series and the DX of the Scan&Cut. And we're going to resize that one as well. I'm going to go, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this button here, and what that does is that separates the height and the width because they will need to be adjusted slightly. It's going to be longer, so I need to do them separately. So we're going to take that right down to 6, but then we're going to take this up to 140. There we go, so 6 millimeters by 140. And then what we're going to do is select quantity, because for the project we do need 2 of those. So there we have our rectangles. And finally, what you want to do, I'm just going to move that out of the way because this is where the part that makes this the split monogram. So we're going to say okay, and we're going to go and add a line. Now, just to let you know, this line only appears on the CM series from the special edition 700 and upwards. If you have the 600 or you have the CM 300, you won't have this line. So what you need to do is you need to actually just get a square and make it so that the width is the same as the width on here, which is 125. But then you will need to make the height high enough to get past the top of your letter, because you won't have this line. It will work the same. It's just the only way to do it. So you use a square with the width at 125, and the height needs to get past the top of the letter. Right, then what you're going to do is you're going to go into select here, and you're going to select the line or the square, depending on which Scan&Cut you're working on, and then you're going to select the large letter. You say okay, and then go into your directional arrow buttons and go up here where we're going to centralize these the H and the line, like so. So you want to select that one, okay, and we're going to say okay. But what you can see here is that line is slightly below the middle of the H, and we need to make it slightly further up. So you're going to unselect the H and just have the line selected. Go back to your directional arrows and you can zoom in here. So zoom in to 400% just to check how far it needs to go up. So it needs to go up a couple of movements. So we can say 1, 2, and I think that may do it. Let's just double check, zoom back in. No, I think we can move it up one more. There we go. Right, so then what you want to do is on this page, so that your H and your line are working together, just go back into select and select the H and this line again and say okay, and group those together so it works as one full motion. Then what we can do is move our pieces so we can cut them out, making the most out of our space. Now what you will need to do is you will need to, for my project, I cut them out 4 times, each thing 4 times, so you end up with 8 of these lines, 4 of these and 4 of these. Obviously if you want more depth or less depth, you would cut out less or more as you prefer. So what we're going to do is we're now going to say okay, and we're going to cut our pieces out of black card. So this is what you end up with, and you can see here that putting that line in between the H has made it 2 separate letters, and then you've got your name in the middle, and then these parts will become the lines above and below your letters. So it's going to end up something like that. As I said to you, I do 4 of each to make more depth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually stick these to the other pieces that I cut earlier, so we get some nice depth to our split monogram, and then we can add it to our frame. Okay, so now what you want to do is start gluing the pieces that you've got to your background. Now what I would suggest is I would take the sort of inside that you get from the frame and actually lay it over the top of your paper that's going to be the background, because then you know how much space you've got to leave sort of between the letters and the frame. Because if you took it off and you started to glue down, you may end up putting it too close to the top, and what would happen is that your letters would then be covered by the frame base. So let's start gluing these pieces down. So we're going to start with the top of the H and work our way down. What I would do actually is I would start with the H and then go and put the other part of the H in as well, so that you know you can line them up and that you know that you've got enough room for both letters. So we're going to start gluing those down. And then all that's left to do is put your split letter monogram in a frame and you are ready to go. You are all done. Just so you know, the purple background is 165mm by 166mm square cut out on this Scan&Cut. So yeah, a really simple way of making your own split letter monogramming without having to go anywhere near canvas. This is all shapes and letters that appear on your Scan&Cut. I hope you enjoyed this technique. I'd love to see your own split letter monogramming if you make your own. Again, it doesn't have to be names, it could be words, you could do love or home, lots of options. So thanks very much for watching, and keep crafting, and hopefully see you guys soon. Bye.